So this week's Ask Dr. Nikki comes from fake name Evie. Okay, so I've written it down and I will read it out. Evie asks, Dear Dr. Nikki, I've been actively dating after a long-term relationship, but are worried about a few things. What are some red flags to be aware of? This is one of those questions I find really important, especially when we consider some of the dangers when dating these days. Not to put you off, but there are things that can happen. But it's not so simple and straightforward to say that there are specific red flags that we all need to be aware of. One of the problems is that some things that may seem scary for one person and end up to be not good in terms of a relationship are not always for the other. For example, the attribute of controlling. Now, normally we would say that is a red flag because somebody that is controlling could end up to be controlling over your life, and if you want to end a relationship or have something for yourself, then they won't let that grasp go. They can even be potentially somebody that's quite aggressive and violent. But some might consider me to be controlling. I've had that said about me before. I have lots of things going on in my life, and sometimes I need to be in control of all the different things up in the air. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to be aggressive or dangerous to be in a relationship with, but is an attribute that I do have and that can come out. So if we were just to flag the idea of someone that is controlling as a red flag, it doesn't really give space for individuality of how that person is controlling or how that plays in their life. I wish that there was a whole list of red flags that I could be giving to people, because I think I could make dating so much more safer. But there isn't, because a lot of these supposed red flags are going to change based on someone's perception and past experience of dating. So for example, you go out on a date, you're not so sure about things, so you turn to your friend and you say, you know what, I want to date with this person, and this is how they were, and this is some of the things they did, and this is some of the things that they said. Your friend might turn around and give you advice based on their past experiences of dating. They weren't on that date. They weren't there. They didn't know how it felt. They didn't see that person with their own two eyes, but they might be taking something that happened from their dating past and passing it on to you and saying, oh no, that's a relationship red flag right there. You shouldn't see that person again, or you need to run. The problem is it's based on their experience, not fact, and you might miss out on a really great person and continuing to date somebody because somebody told you not to. But in saying that, if you have turned to a friend and you have asked for advice and you are not so sure about something and you think something could be wrong, then that is the best mechanism you do have to look for those warning signs. It's your gut instinct. I think especially for women, we are taught to ignore our gut instinct a lot of the time. That we're crazy, that we're hormonal, that, it's that time of the month. We're not always taught to connect with it and tap into it. Now, I consider myself a really intuitive type of person. I believe that we all have that intuition. It's just whether we have learnt enough to listen to it and accept it, or whether we have that self-talk where we tell ourselves that we're crazy, or it's just this funny feeling that's coming up. That's our mechanism that we shouldn't ignore. That's the thing in our heart and our head, that when something doesn't feel right, that we should listen to. But the best thing I can tell you when it comes to dating red flags is no one wants to be disrespected. That's probably the one attribute that when we have a look at where a red flag is, if someone's treating you with disrespect, it's really important that if you get that niggling feeling or something just doesn't seem to add up, that you stop, you take some space from the situation and you investigate this a little further. Ask yourself why that is. Why is it that things don't feel right? Why is it that something doesn't add up? Is that person crossing a boundary for you? Are they triggering something that doesn't gel well with you? Is there something more that's going on that you just haven't worked out yet? That is going to be your best safety mechanism for working out where the red flags are, because you're the one that has the answers, not me and not anyone else around you, and you need to be able to listen to yourself. So I hope that helps, and I urge you to really stay safe when dating. It can be so much fun, but you really need to tune into yourself and make sure that you protect yourself and understand your boundaries when you're dating, and also know how to exit from any situations. Have those strategies in place where if the date doesn't feel well, if something's not adding up, if you don't feel comfortable, you know how to get out of there. It might be calling a friend, sending a text message, or simply having some one-liners in your head that you know that you can use to exit the situation. It might be, I'm really not feeling well, I'm going to have to go home. Thank you so much for a lovely night. I will speak to you later. Or something like that that sounds a little bit more real and believable, because you never want to be in a situation where you look like that person that's saying, I'm finding an excuse to get out of here. Maybe run those past your friends, write them down, but have those tools there so that if you do need to exit a situation, if you do want to get out of there and get some perspective on the date or the situation or what the person has been saying or doing, then it's really important that you have those in your little tool bank. So I hope that helps. And if you have an Ask Dr. Nikki or a how-to that you want the answers to, make sure you head over to my Facebook page and you can ask me anything at all.